Yeah, what's happening? We about to bring that action. Gotta hold it down for my Seattle Kraken. Hey, we going beneath the waves. We going beneath the waves. Get it hype, step onto the ice. Ready for some action. Release the Kraken. Hey, we going beneath the waves. Going beneath the waves.
What is up, everyone? Welcome into the Beneath the Waves podcast, a weekly recap of all things Seattle hockey and beyond. I am Matt.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Derek.
We are now on to episode 64 of the BTW pod. On today's episode, we're going to check in with the Torrent and what's going on there. We will wrap up the 2025-26 Kraken season, and we're going to take a look back at our BTW Time Capsule from before the season even started. But before we get into those things, Derek, we have a special guest with us today. Could you introduce that guest?
Indeed we do, Matt. We have the privilege of having with us Zaiem, the owner of Davy Jones Locker Room. From his bio on X, he's also a data analyst, a poker pro, which is pretty insane. And he also hosts the Locked On Kraken show. You can find that at Locked On Kraken on YouTube, covering the Seattle Kraken and the Torrent. You can also find him at ZBEG on X. Zaiem, do you want to... Oh, go ahead.
That's ZBEG for the Canadian Twitter users.
All right, we're using the fake alphabet. We're a minute into the show, Matt. Oh my. Okay, Zaiem, you want to take it away with anything else you want people to know about you?
No, and that is Z as in zebra, just so that we're clear. That's pretty much it. I'm really excited to be on this show. I listened to this podcast. I was just mentioning to this before we started recording that Derek contacted me and it was like, hey, do you want to come on? I was listening to the previous episode when I got the email, so it just kind of like manifested. So I'm really excited and really grateful that you have me on, and so I'm really excited to talk some Torrent and Kraken hockey today.
Awesome. We're pumped to have you. And just a warning to everyone else out there, Derek gets pings when you're listening to the show, so he can slide into your DMs at any moment. So just if you see Past the Crack show up on Twitter, that's what that was caused by. Let's open it with the Torrent talk. The Torrent are officially out of the playoff race, and as our very own Heather put in her article for the Hockey News this week, she was highlighting some of the positives for the team despite being knocked out. Some of these include a very strong showing against Ottawa, which we broke down last week, CJ finally getting some ice time, and a response to some of the challenges that the team has faced in their inaugural season. As always, Heather's articles can be found on the Hockey News, Yahoo Sports, and at Heather Nicole, and of course that's Nicole with no E on X. And it was an interesting time for the Torrent this week. It was an exciting time because Gold Plan has been activated. We did end up losing that game that we were recording during last week against the Vancouver Golden Eyes. There are 2 games left to go. We had, like I said, a 4-1 loss to Vancouver last week, which knocked us out. And then yesterday, a heartbreaking, that's the only word I can use to describe it, 6-5 overtime loss in the rematch against the Golden Eyes. So that does earn us a 1-point head start in the draft order placement with those 2 games to go. Before I get into some more Torrent things, Zaiem, what was your experience watching that game? Because I was screaming at my TV on the couch, and I can only imagine what it was like maybe being there.
It was one of the worst losses that I can remember seeing in person. I don't remember a Kraken loss that bad. I mean, maybe there has been one, but I don't recall one offhand. Maybe there was like 1-2 years ago to the Oilers, but I think that was on the road. But I don't recall ever seeing a hockey team implode that badly at Climate Pledge Arena. And when the Torrent, they go up 2 goals. They get the empty net goal on Danielle Sardakny. She gets pulled down. It's the empty net, and they award the goal, which was a really weird experience because it's like, okay, there's she gets pulled down, and then the puck goes off to the side, and then like play stops, and then like 3 seconds later the goal horn blows, and then everyone's like, oh, this is weird. All right, great. Up 2 goals with less than 4 minutes to go. We're finally going to win this thing, and finally some winning. And then Vancouver scores a goal, and then when it did that, I was like, oh no, because I thought the Torrent were really, really struggling, and then just like infinite icings, and they're just so tired at the end, and the crowd is counting down, the seconds before the I was like, Dan, 9. And I'm like, I don't know. This is like, I'm not a usually superstitious kind of person, but I'm like, I don't know. And then, 1.6 seconds left. Just like, it was unbelievable, but then entirely believable. And the crowd was really, really great, though. I thought that they were really positive and didn't seem quite as like devastated after the Climate Pledge Arena after a Kraken loss. And there was still a lot of love for CJ and a lot of love for the team. And even though this was just like the biggest gut punch, and then afterwards, I mean, you could tell the media availabilities. I don't think they were put online. We did record them. I'm planning on putting them up tonight, but there was one with CJ, and they were just like so overwhelmed emotionally with all the love and the support. And it was both like, we're devastated, but also we're very grateful for having the fan support they have. And but yeah, it was just stunning. I can't, and then Steve O'Rourke was like, and everyone's like, it was like trying to like sort through emotions real time, and you need like an evening to process and like a date and a sleep. And I just drove. I was driving home and like just kind of in a like a despair, like staring off and trying not to hit traffic in front of me as I'm wondering like, what did I just watch?
Yeah, it was a tough one. Like you said, there was like infinite icing calls that they kept doing, and just you send it all the way down. Maybe you pot the empty net, and that gets a little insurance on there. But they were just dead tired. Like they had to have sandbags on their feet trying to move around out there, and all we had to do was just skate it out past the blue line and slow them down a little bit. But uh, woulda, coulda, shoulda, all that kind of stuff. Do you think? Uh, like obviously, if we would have won, we would have had 3 points in our gold plan bank. We, like I said, have a 1 goal or 1 point head start. But do you think that's gonna really hold?
No, because I mean, the Torrent have to keep winning, and um, it's
And we have Minnesota and Montreal left on the schedule,
yeah,
so
yeah. It's just like Vancouver was this collapse, and now you got I don't know. I love the idea of the goal plan. I'm like, oh yeah, the goal plan, that's great, sounds great. But now that you're actually a team that's in it and they're last and then they're losing and they're not getting the higher draft pick, I'm like, oh, maybe this goal plan is not so great. I don't know. I like it's all fun when it's abstract, but then when it's like your team that's going through it and not getting the points, and it's like, oh no. Well, if they keep losing, then they're going to get a lower draft pick, and then how does that help the team? Yeah, next year. And so I
Exactly.
know
Yeah.
incentives are always weird with tanking.
It's like our team is so bad. We really need that first overall pick. Like we're not joking about it. Even when our wins get us to that first overall pick, we're still losing. So yeah, we definitely need it.
It's bad when you're praying for a win because like you're like, oh please God, like we just need to win this, and you're like, okay, we just need to get past these wins, and like you're not seeing a lot of them, but it's just like desperation time in some way.
But Zame's right. That crowd at Climate Pledge, specifically for the Torrent, is just on crack compared to the Kraken fan base. Like it, I don't know if that's just like an inaugural season thing, but having been at some of those games this year, working them, like going out there on the ice, you literally cannot hear yourself think in between play for a team that has just been losing all year. Like it's remarkable, honestly.
If
yeah.
they
And
ever
the PWHL had their milestone this week of having the 1 millionth fan of just the season. So there's lots of momentum picking up there too.
if that team is ever in the playoffs and they like have big games, that place is going to be so loud, like
Oh
just
my God.
incomprehensibly loud. Like I was in the building for the Jordan Eberle overtime winner, and that was like one of
Same.
the loudest I've ever been in,
Yep.
in a hockey arena. But I think this would obliterate that. I just the
I
capacity for
compare
volume.
I compare the regular season tournament games to those playoff to that Colorado playoff
Yes,
series in Climate
yes.
Pledge. It is that loud.
Like I have to have earplugs. I always have earplugs with me, but I
thing.
end up using my earplugs a lot more at Torrent games than Kraken games, even though there are fewer players or fewer people at the Torrent games. There's just so much more enthusiasm. It's
Yep,
awesome.
the volume.
But,
Yep.
yeah, they're just I love Torrent games. They're so much fun.
That's awesome. We did have a couple good fun milestones happen with the Torrent this week. Yesterday in the game, Alex Carpenter set the season's single season faceoff record. So that's a fun little thing to have in the record books. And a very notable one, Hillary Knight was named to Time's 100 most influential people of 2026 list. So that is a very big deal too. Any thoughts on those two things from any of you guys?
I mean, she's the highest profile athlete in Seattle sports history, and I don't think that that's disputable at this point. Like,
Yeah.
no other Seattle athlete's been on Saturday Night Live and Good Morning America and the morning show and Today's Show. I think the morning show, that's an Apple TV show, whatever. And Saturday, like the late night show and all these shows with like a time in their title. She's in Time, 100. No one in Seattle has been that, not Griffey or Marshawn Lynch or, whoever, right? It's so we have a titan of sports playing in Seattle right now. And I think people should just appreciate that, because you will probably never have an athlete of that kind of profile in our city again, because they just don't happen.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we'll talk about the Torrent schedule a little bit later when we run down the week ahead. But as always, you can keep in tune with Davy Jones Locker Room and with Zaiem for Torrent updates. Again, at Heather Nicole with no E, writing for the hockey news. And let's kill those good vibes. And as soon as I said that, Alex and Derek both started shaking their heads. Just a gut reaction now. Let's shift over to the Seattle Kraken in our second installment of the Because I Didn't Give It a Better Name Yet, the Tankathon Tanking Ranking. Derek, where did we end up?
Yeah, it's over. So and we really don't. This is the last up. We have two of these, so you didn't even get to give it a good
I have
name
a
before we're
whole
retiring
nother
it.
season to think of a segment title.
For real.
It's really
You have a
depressing
year.
to think that we have a whole nother season to compare this, because like we're gonna wind right back here again next year.
Nah, come on, bro. Okay. Anyway, the Kraken ended up with the sixth highest odds for the first overall pick. So our odds to get the number one overall pick are 7.5%. And then there are some other protections. I think the highest we can pick is 8th. I'm not sure. No, it's 7th.
7th. It's like a 42% chance
yes.
of drafting 7th.
So we're guaranteed to not pick 8th for the third straight season.
Do not put
big W's in chat. Big W's.
Let's go.
There's gonna be a way that we draft 8th.
J-Bots is gonna trade something to move down to 8th.
Oh my god.
Well, the draft lottery is on May 5th, so only a few more weeks to count down until we see how the ping pong balls fall. Let's talk now about the last week of Kraken hockey for the 2025-26 season. Derek, lead us on into the vibe check.
So basically we'll just go around and give a 0 to 10 here for the vibe check. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with a 7. Okay. And I'm gonna explain. So I am like the blatant optimist of this pod, but also I will say, as soon as the Kraken season ends, it's almost instantaneously where I'm like, oh, this team has so much potential to be good because they're not playing. And that's going to grow and grow and grow through the off season. And right before we start, I'm going to be like, oh my God, this team is, and I'm going to say it on the spot. I'm like, this team's going to have 96 points. We're going to go to the playoffs. It's going to be amazing. So I'm already starting to get that bug a little bit where it's like a hypothetical team. It's not a real team anymore. So that's where I'm feeling right now. I'm really hopeful of like, please give us a top 5 pick. Please give us the first overall pick. That would be literally the coolest thing ever. And I'm literally shaking in excitement for that. So hopefully that happens. And then other than that, it'll be exciting to see sort of the direction this team takes with, the free agency signing stuff. There's just a lot that's gonna hopefully take place over this offseason to where I don't know, to where we'll all be feeling good, hopefully, going into next year, because I can't stand the negativity anymore. I'm being so for real. But how about you guys?
I, like Derek, I'm also an optimist. And my form of optimism is taking shape in the form that I expect this team to be very bad next year. And it's exactly what I hope this team will be. Because this team needs to make a transformative process where they take this mediocre team and they tear it up and they go through a transformation. We gotta change this from a caterpillar into a butterfly, because right now this is not a beautiful animal. But the reason why I'm optimistic is this front office change. and all this stuff that's going on. And I know there's been a lot of talk about like, oh, Ron Francis didn't have power the last 2 years, and it was Jason Botterill running the show, and we're just sticking with the same old stuff. And I'm going to tell you that everything I know and everything that I've learned over the last few days, and I've been digging, and I've been talking, and I've been texting, and I've been making phone calls, and I'm telling you, Ron Francis, he had power in that building. And you can say whatever the reports say, because there are people who have incentive to make sure that Ron Francis's side of the story gets heard. And perhaps some of those people are perhaps the ones who are putting this narrative out there. I do not accept it. I do not buy it. And everything I know, specifically and unspecifically, suggests that there was a front office rift that happened, and that this split into two factions. And there was like the Ron Francis loyalists, and then not so much like Jason Botterill loyalists, but just people who are loyal to the process of the franchise, and like, we just want to make good decisions, and we feel like Ron Francis is maybe not the best person for making those decisions. And the reset that is happening, I would have preferred to just go with a full reset and go with somebody else. And I mean, Sonny Mehta, we were both on the same poker forum back in like the 2008, like before he was in hockey. Like I've known of Sonny Mehta for a long time, and he just got hired by the Devils to be their GM. But Jason Botterill, I think, is going to have a real chance to operate this franchise without the very significant specter of Ron Francis, who was not good for the roster construction for this team. I just think he was too conservative, and with all the criticisms that have come from Carolina and then here, I think Jason Botterill finally gets a chance to do this in a way that does not have Ron Francis flavor all over the franchise. And I think Ron Francis flavor is not a very good flavor.
No,
it's like steak and ice cream.
We're not selling that in the layer, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, and so that gives me reason for optimism, because I think Todd Lewicki is he's a smart guy, and he's run a lot of successful organizations, and he's run successful hockey organizations. And I think the choice to hire Ron Francis looks clearly to have been a mistake. But overall, there aren't a lot of mistakes that he has made, like really big mistakes. Usually he makes the right call more often than not. And I do believe him when he says this is going to be a full reset. The audit, we'll find out more what happens when it comes out of that. But I believe in this ownership. I believe in Todd Lewicki. And by extension, by knowing or believing that Jason Botterill did not have the freedom or the leeway to do things as he wanted, I think that there is reason for optimism to look at this and say, hey, you know what? I think next year actually might be different, or this offseason might actually be different in a way, without doing the same stuff that got this team to where they are now after 5 years and being all Ron Francis-y.
Well, I should have made Zaiem go last, because how are we supposed to live up to that? Holy shit. Alex, do you want to go, or do you want me to go?
I'll jump in. I love the optimism from both of you, both the positive and the negative positive. I don't know how you positive on both sides. I don't know.
It's realism.
I'm the hopeful optimist that's negative. So we're gonna go with that. So honestly, I'm sitting at a 5 when it comes to the vibe check. There's a lot of positives that you could look at this team when we needed them to fall off the side of a cliff to maintain a losing streak, to have a relatively half decent, place in getting a top draft pick. We were successful. So great way to end off the season in that way. But overall, I don't have a lot of trust heading into this off season. I feel like there's been so many times that we've heard, ownership discuss the fact that we're like, it's, what was it last year? Well, we're gonna get this right. We're gonna do this right. We're gonna rebuild properly or retool properly, and then that retool was pretty bad. So going into this offseason, and we're waiting for this audit to happen. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen with that. But like, to me, like, I need to fully see the picture before I can be like excited about it, because I know Jason Botterill has had time in the past. He was the general manager of the Buffalo Sabres, and while he was GM during that time period, oh boy, the Buffalo Sabres were an absolute garbage fire. So there's not a lot of confidence in that. Now, having said that, I've always believed that Ron Francis had his foot in the door in making decisions. He's like the Ron father. Like, he was like literally a mob boss, so to speak. So the way I've always looked at it was like there was a warring like two factions fighting against each other. Ron on the one side, and then like just a bunch of people that were like, yeah, screw Ron, and kind of see what happened. So not shocked nor surprised that like Ron, if he did have the ability or still had his foot in the door and was like, no, we're going to trade this player, or we're going to try to get this guy, or we're going to sign this player, that wouldn't come as a shock. But like I said, going into this offseason, I'm very, very nervous because ownership wants to win. But when you look at this team, I don't think this team has the capability of being a solid playoff contending team in the near future. There's too many veterans, I think, that need to be out the door. I'm hoping we see a lot of those guys leave in the offseason, but I'm thinking a lot of these expansion players that are OGs need to leave. And I think that's where a lot of the fan base, who are very passionate and very loyal, aren't ready to say goodbye to some of these players. And I think as a franchise and as a fan, yeah, you can have your favorite player, but it's been 5 years. It's time to rip the Band-Aid off. And for me, I hope that the management group that is assembled under Botterill, or anyone else, depending on as to what happens, and us as fans accept the reality of what's going to happen, because I am fully believing this offseason is not going to be pretty. One being, I think there's going to be some real big fan favorites that are going to be dealt, that could really piss off a lot of fans. Or we can see a panic-stricken management group that is going to throw the book at a player that is well worth below market value that they give him. I'm incredibly stressed. We're going to offer like Bobby McMahon some stupid amount of money to keep him here, even though he's turning 30. Like, I'm terrified. If we're willing to offer Panarin 14 million a year, Jason Botterill, he's going to offer 8 times 8. Like, it's going to happen or something like that. So, yeah, like, there's a lot of positives in the sense of like, if we get a good draft pick, awesome. There's a lot of possibility with the youth of this team and the prospect pool. But when it comes to like trades and, free agent signings, I'm incredibly stressed out.
Yeah, before I was going to go, before Zaem went, I was going to say like I'm at a 6. And then suddenly I want to like run through a wall because I'm fired up by how like he blew our minds with this. Is this what it's like to have an insider in the room? Like, man, this is so much more exciting. I'm gonna sure I'll bump it up slightly to like a 7. I am choosing to, cast the previous season aside. We are looking forward onto new things, and those new things might not turn out super great, but there's always a chance that some positive turn can take. I would totally, I've said this, I think I said this before last season. I would totally be fine with us, stripping things down, having a super young team that's learning the ropes and all that kind of stuff, and be fine with sucking in that department. Like, give us Jordan Eberle as our dad, Brandon Montour as our cool uncle, and then just all the kids on the roster to just not do super hot, but start building something. And I think when we get to breaking down our predictions from before the season later, we have a lot of those elder statesmen who hopefully can be shipped off elsewhere. And I'm sure, like Alex said, there's going to be people who are pissed about some of those people that leave. There's some people that are going to celebrate if some of those people leave. But we talked about this last week. You're never going to have everybody be happy. So there's always going to be someone upset about something. So I'm choosing to Again, be woefully optimistic, perhaps, and just full steam ahead, counting down to May 5th when we get the draft lottery to see what's going to happen. Because if the Seattle number comes up, and we were very close last year, I remember we needed a 3 to come up, and the ball that came up was a 13. And on the
Yeah.
TV, the 3 was facing and not the 1. And I went like, I had the opposite reaction to what I just had in our vibe check here. I went from 15 down to 2. So hopefully we have a nice fortuitous draft lottery. Um, get some Etsy witches on it or whatever, or get a lucky rabbit's foot, whatever the case may be. And then let's just see. Let's take it as it goes and not just get all doom and gloom right off the rip here.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch back on what Zane was saying. I completely agree with Matt that my mind is blown from that revelation. I actually had a follow-up, Zane, if you don't mind. So
Sure.
I think, I don't want to misquote you. I think you said that something leads you to believe that there were like two factions butting heads. Is that what you meant by the like undue influence from Ron, or did you mean that like I think was it Elliot Friedman who came out with the like Ron Francis basically didn't have any influence the last 2 years because of the Bilesma decision going the way that Botterill wanted it to? Are you saying that the reporting from Friedman was like inaccurate or dubious, or just that like that influence is that like there's this whole other side that Botterill has to worry about like appeasing, and there's like this
Just
rift going
looming
on
over him.
Yeah, like I could see that being gone would be like, okay, now there's like no stress, there's no tension in the room anymore. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, it's a lot closer to the last. I'm not saying that like this is a full wholesale fabricated story that was leaked to Elliot Friedman, but it is the side of the story that makes Ron Francis look more,
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
positive, right?
Yeah,
And
100%.
once you see this pattern, by the way, like once you like ask yourself like who had the reason to write this, you start seeing it everywhere, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm covering the NBA and we're covering the return of the Sonics, and this is really obvious that happens in the NBA circles. It's less obvious in the NHL, but like for example, if like Knicks owner and Rangers owner James Dolan does not want NBA expansion, that is very clear because it cuts into his revenue share, and the Knicks are a very high revenue team, and so but he's been very famously against NBA expansion. Well, whenever the NBA commissioner is like, these conditions are expansion. Then immediately after, Tom Friend of Sports Business Journal, who happens to be a Tom Friend of James Dolan, always comes out with an article and be like, expansion might not be the right thing to do. And, well, is this the right time? And it's like, oh man, that's so weird that your James Dolan's close personal friend is writing this, like, and it's like pre-written. It comes out like 10 minutes after the commissioner makes a statement, and there's stuff like this that happens all the time. People
Oh
are
my gosh.
feeding people stories, and they're publishing in the press, and in sports, I just can't get that riled up about it because like who cares? We're not reporting on the chemical company that's leaking wastewater that's giving the children the
100%.
cancer from
Yes.
yeah. It's like this team might sign Bobby
Right.
McMahon. Oh, there's actually this other team.
Yeah.
Well, now millions will die.
Right,
So
right.
it's like who cares?
Hey, that's how it feels
right?
sometimes, though.
Well, yeah, that's how it feels. But this stuff is happening, and it's happening all the time, and I got to be real careful what I say here, but
No worries.
yes, there was a Ron Francis influence, and it's just the specter and people, when he's in charge of the organization, sometimes, okay, who do I talk to? Do I go to him? Do I go to Jason Botterill? And then also there's the Joe Quenneville thing, which we have independent reporting, our own reporting, Davy Jones Locker Room, and then also talk to some people in the past few days. Ron Francis was interested in Joel Quenneville, and that's reported by Ellie Friedman. That's reported by our own Allison Ballard, and a couple of other sources have also confirmed this. And it's like, and he wants that out there. He wants it known. It's my belief. I don't know this for sure, but it seems consistent. Like, okay, if we want to make sure this is the side of the story that makes me look good, the side of the story, there's also part of that is that, hey, I tried to hire Joe Quenneville. Man, he's a good coach. He's one of the greatest coaches of all time. The second greatest coach maybe ever. And management, they stepped in, and they, ownership, they wouldn't let me do it. And look, if we had Joel Quenneville, if the Ducks are in the playoffs, and hopefully Carter Hart has given up 6 goals. I haven't looked, but he, and without realizing that part of being the GM is not to just understand the Kraken, but it's also understand your market. And Joe Quenneville was just not going to be another typical hire, and it's just like this catastrophically tone deaf thing that he's pushing, and ownership was like, whoa, we're not doing that. We're gonna move on, and good on ownership. But I think that is a disqualifying decision by Ron Francis, and I think that also caused some friction in the organization, because there are a lot of other people who are like, how dare you? How can you possibly even consider Joel Quenneville after everything that would happen? Morally and from a business standpoint, it makes no sense. And I think that was also a big part of this.
Yeah, that makes sense. I could see like a timeline. I'm not saying that this is what you're saying, just to be clear, so you don't get in trouble or anything. But I could see definitely like a timeline where it's like Ron Francis is like, okay, guys, like, yo, I'll step down. Like we can split amicably. I'll resign. But like someone leak this that like I'm not the one to blame for like these last couple of years. I could
Piece
see
of paper just fell out of his pocket as he was walking out the door.
Yep.
That makes sense. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Man, I just want to say, like, I feel like I've been like red pilled tonight. Like,
For real. For real. There's no going back.
The doors have been blown open, and my blissful ignorance is suddenly gone. No sport flips faster than hockey. One power play, a goalie pulled with 2 minutes left, and everything changes. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for that kind of chaos, with live betting from puck drop to the final buzzer. And DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If you place a pregame player prop bet and your player starts the game but leaves in the first period due to an injury and doesn't return, you'll get your bet back in cash. No bonus bets, no opt-in, just real protection when injuries happen early. New sportsbook customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN so that you're ready for the moment. That's code THPN. Turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer.
Derek, what else do you want to get into this week?
Yeah. So quickly, I mean, the Kraken's final record was 34, 37, and 11. 27th in the league. We had 79 points, and that is 3 points higher than last season. Game 81 was a 4-1 loss against the Vegas Golden Knights, and the last game of the year was a 2-0 loss to the Colorado Avalanche. And then, Zaiem, I wanted to get into some more stuff with you. So our very own Heather, as mentioned at the top of the show, she writes for the Hockey News, is at the Torrent home games, interviewing players, covering the Torrent for more of an official media perspective than any of us three currently are here at Beneath the Waves for the Kraken. So I was just wondering if you could sort of run through with us, like, what that's been like this season, being at the games on the bridge, being at the scrums and availabilities, and more specifically, like, if there were any sort of changes or trends that you noticed in the locker room or in the press room as the season went on. I know there was that one where like they shut off all press available stuff like that. So anything that was like particularly noticeable throughout the season?
Personally, I had like the best season of my journalism career, because I got into this kind of by accident. I was, when the Kraken got here, I was a longtime hockey fan. I've been a fan since the 90s, and I grew up in Colorado, and I've lived in Seattle for 25 years, but I was just like a diehard Avalanche fan. And then my friend, who was the manager for SB Nation Davy Jones Locker Room. He's like, hey, I need people who could write and who understand hockey, and I had experience with both, and so I started doing that. And then in year 2, it was January 19th, SB Nation was like, we're not doing hockey anymore. And I was devastated because we had built so much, and we were one of the 2 sites on the entire network that were growing because the Kraken, and it's year 2, right? So that's the exciting year. That's where all the stuff is happening.
Right.
And then I bought it. I just bought SB Nation. I bought the site and then I was like, oh no, what have I done? I just bought a hockey site. I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm like, all right. So I applied for press credentials. And I'm like, why not? They weren't doing anything on social media. They weren't doing anything press. They were just like, oh, we're a blog, and that worked in the aughts, and that's the business model we have. Well, I don't know what I'm doing, but no one is there to tell me that I'm doing something wrong. And so I just showed up, and my first game was the very final regular season game before the playoffs. And then I'm there for the playoff run, and I'm terrified because I'm in the locker room and I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to do the wrong thing. I don't want to pull up a photo on my phone and maybe, someone, right? And so there's just like all of this fear and uncertainty. And as this has gone along, and now I just completed my 3rd full season, there's been, this season in particular, there are a lot of people, a lot of groups or outlets who were jumping on because they thought, hey, the Kraken are new, they're exciting, and they'll probably be contending for a Stanley Cup in 5 years, in year 5. And so there's been some like bandwagon media effect, which has then strengthened my resolve to be sure that I want to be present, because if your only derivation, the only way that you get enjoyment out of a sports team is them winning, not the primary, but the only way, then you're going to be, I think, miserable, because 31 teams don't win the cup, right? But if you can tell the story of the team, and you can tell the story about what's happening and the human stories that happen and the ebbs and flow, and this was a very interesting season. And so I really enjoyed like getting into it and getting into the weeds. And then, Ryan Clark, he left to go to Dallas. And so there was like an opening for the Pro Hockey Writers Association chair. And then, it was like, I had been there. And so they decided, they kind of agreed that I would be co-chairing with Tim Booth. And it's like, oh, that means I get a Hart vote and like a Norris vote. And so I got to do that this year,
congratulations.
which is
That's
nuts.
Insane.
It's crazy.
That's so much cooler
and I'm
than
like,
the BTW Squiddy Awards.
Yeah. So I'm like, I did my I was like up until like 1 a.m, the other night, whatever, the last game of the regular season, like making sure my ballots. And this is crazy, right? This is nuts. I'm just like 4 years ago, I was just a hockey fan, being like, oh, we got a hockey team, we got an NHL team finally. Yeah. And now, I'm going in there, and well, now there's responsibility. And so I feel confidence. And it's like, oh, you know what? I can talk to people and I can be an insider. And people like me and they trust me and they know that they can tell me secrets and I'm not going to just blab it out. And then like all of a sudden it's like, when the hell did I just become a journalist? Like, how did this happen? Like so it's been really, really cool. So personally, I had the best season ever.
It sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
That's awesome.
Regarding the locker room, back to your thing. There has been, I think, some locker room fragility. I think Mason Marsman, for example, he was not good for the locker room, and there has been some. I think the locker room dynamic is fragile. I don't think it's bad, but I think that there are there's some tension there for sure. And you got some allusions to that during the exit interviews where they talked about how, maybe we need a little bit more vocal leadership, or we need, different people in the room. And Adam Larson had comments about that. Maddie Beniers had comments about that. And I think Brandon Montour had comments about that. And you saw that. And it really was, I think they really struggled in that regard in the interpersonal stuff. Also, there are some people who really, 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 really like Lane Lambert, and there are a few prominent players who don't. And I think that has caused some issue as well. Overall, I think the team really loves Lane Lambert, and I think that they, from day one of training camp, it was very clear that they like him a lot more than Dale Biasba. And then Philip Grubauer, of all people, is like throwing shade about the exit interview.
that was amazing.
Amazing.
I was surprised
So
at who delivered the message, but I was not surprised by the message. And so overall, I think this team is in an okay place locker room wise. They probably could use a little bit more leadership, and they're behind Lane Lambert, which I think is correct. He's a really good coach. I think he's the best coach the team's ever had, and they seem to believe that.
Yeah, no, I was watching your coverage of the exit interviews today, and it definitely seems like that. With how they talk about the defensive structure, and that makes sense with what we saw with like expected goals against this year, chances against this year, stuff like that. I was wondering, is that public what you're talking about with the players that expressed that they didn't like Lambert? Did they say that in exit interviews? I haven't seen all of them yet.
No, it was just little things, and I mean these were public interviews. So like first day of training camp, I think it was first day, maybe it was second day. I was like Matty Beniers, I'm like, what do you see? He's like, oh man. Lane Lambert, man, that guy particularly, he is really good at coaching details. He really knows details. I'm like, some coaches, that's not what he said, but there was like all this passive aggressive stuff.
Say
about,
without saying.
This coach really knows what he's doing. This coach this year really understands what this coach this season with the new coach, it's like, all right, we get it. You didn't like the previous guy. And then throughout the season, multiple players are talking about, we were so prepared and we understand what to do, and he gives us the information, he gives us the answers to the test, and this is something that we didn't have before. And you just this little comments that accumulate over the course of the season, and it's very clear that like Joey and Philip and Maddie and Eberle, and I'm trying to think who else. I think Capo Caco did, and I mean Brandon Montour did, and Vince Dunn did, and it's like all of this praise that came for Lane Lambert, which they did not do for either of the previous two coaches at any point.
Right.
So it's not like, Philip Grubauer he's just like, he talks about every coach like this is the best guy. Peyton Manning was famous for this. Like everyone who coached him was just like the greatest coach in NFL.
Right.
Okay, Adam Gase is not actually a great coach. Like calm down, Peyton. Grubauer was not that way with Lane Lambert, and that was true for Joey. And there's a specific love for him that did not exist for the previous two coaches.
Right. And did you pick up on any players that didn't have that admiration for Lambert, that thought Lambert was not a good coach? I thought that's what you were saying, or no?
Not publicly.
Okay, gotcha.
There is this thing that happens where media isn't in a place where they're supposed to be. Like we're waiting, we're in the locker room, or we're in the hallway at the practice facility waiting for somebody. And some hockey players, they're not being drafted because they're good at astrophysics, and they might not be the brightest bulbs, all of them. And some of them like to speak as if they don't realize that we can hear them, and they're talking a little too loud. And it's like, buddy, we're right here, right? And so there's some people who have been critical of Lane Lambert and like, oh yeah, this guy. And it's like, we can hear you. Now I can't like report on that, because it wasn't like ethically acquired. It wasn't because I was in the wrong place. I wasn't like eavesdropping or whatever. It was like but at the same time, but then also, I mean, I can't unhear it. Like I know. And then when you start, and then you hear a player talk about things, and it's like when you watch a movie with a twist, and then you go back and you're like, oh, that thing they said that seemed like pretty innocuous. That just seemed like in the context of everything.
Yep.
Right, yeah, and then you go back and you're like, oh, that's what they really meant by that. And then you start.
He was dead the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. And like, oh, they really didn't like Lane Lambert, and we saw the signs, but we didn't know it. And so there was some of that as well. But yeah, all of the anti-Lane Lambert sentiment has come from overhearing things that I was not intended to hear by virtue of people speaking just a little too loudly.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I think it's highly unlikely that while he's here, that it's going to be something that anyone says publicly. But yeah, I appreciate that insight.
So with this is kind of what Derek was going to go into next. So I'll just kind of pick up the baton. But would you say that the direction under Lane Lambert was kind of like the most significant maybe kind of theme of some of the interviews that happened, or was it the effort, because we had some, and again, we're going to go into this more in depth on a different episode, but like the effort piece was part of it. The culture was a part of it. What was kind of like the standout or most resonating theme through those exits?
I think they felt that the effort was there, and that the thing that came up with, I think 3 different players said this, was that after the Olympic break, other teams elevated their game and the Kraken were not able to. And I think I asked Lane Lambert about this, and they didn't have a lot of great answers, but I think ultimately it's because this roster just doesn't have the scoring talent, the high-end scoring talent that
Exactly.
Right. And so there's just not much you can do about there. And so you're trying to solve this problem that's not actually solvable. But they felt like the effort was there. It really felt like the effort was there. They were disappointed, and they were really candid during exit interviews. Or really, like the Phil Grubauer being the clearest example of that, where he's just like, damn Biles, but yeah, that guy didn't even have a system, and I felt like they were being pretty honest, but also then they also were like, yeah, we gave the effort there, and we just weren't able to get to that next level. And I think what they're saying is unable to get the next level means that we didn't have the talent to play at that level, but we had the effort there. And that mostly seemed to be what I saw. I didn't get a lot of sense that they were just mailing it in. I think that they were trying, and then there would be some mental lapses and
Could not agree more.
mistakes. Yeah, but I don't think that it was like they were just going out and just like going through the motions. I mean, for stretches, but that's true for every hockey game, every season, right? Like no hockey team is ever going full 60 every game. That's just, it doesn't matter who you are. Even the Avalanche, had the stretches this year, right? But
yeah, it's like a playoff
absent
thing.
those normal things. No. I think that I think there's a lot of like, we don't really know what the answers are, but they didn't feel like the effort was the issue.
Yeah, gotcha. I also want to say I watched, like I said, I watched your Locked On from, I think you posted yesterday, the coverage of, I think it was Montour, Grubauer, Joey, and Berkeley Catton as well. And you were kind of ripping yourself for the question you asked Joey that kind of cut right to the heart of this with the effort and stuff. And I just think I don't think that was a bad question, because the entire fan base kind of, or at least a sizable chunk of the online fan base, is very, we're mailing it in, the effort's not there. So I think it's great to ask that and then have Joey sort of answer it the way he did. I think it was really good for the fan base.
Oh no, I was ripping on the way I set it up, because I'd made notes of who had asked the questions, and then I'm like, who asked this Joey question? Man, this guy must have been an idiot. Like I didn't even write down who was the moron who asked this question. I played the clip and I was like, oh, that was my question. Oh well, no, it turns out I'm the idiot.
But why did you think you were a moron for the way you set it up? I was very confused.
It was like, I didn't make a note that I asked the question because
just because you didn't write down who said the question?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I'm like setting it up, and I'm like, I don't know who even asked this. Who asked this question? Nobody knows. And I play it, and I'm like, oh, it was me. Okay,
right, that makes more sense.
All right, well, I'm very stupid, but no, I thought it was a decent question.
Yeah.
I get that sometimes too when I'm going back and editing podcasts. I'm like, who made this great take? Oh yeah, it's me. That's right.
It's always Matt.
Always Matt.
Always.
And then the last thing, Zaiem. So I think this kind of got to what we were just talking about, right? The fans, at least a lot of the fans, they're absolutely dying for takeaways from the season. What can they do? They weren't trying. We need guys that try. We need guys that hit. We need guys that do X. We need guys that do Y. You kind of alluded to it with scoring talent, but like, I guess without just the magic snap of the fingers that gives us a team of competent scoring talent, which is just like, that's the name of the game, right? But like, I guess what would be your biggest like takeaway, lesson learned, or path to like some light at the end of some tunnel somewhere that you were able to sort of glean from this season at all?
I think ownership was really good. And if you have good ownership, that's a really, really good place to be. They're willing to spend, and that is not true for many ownerships. They have the best facilities. It's not just lip service. They like to brag about it, and they should, because they put a lot of money into it. Climate Pledge Arena is the nicest arena I've ever been to. They have the nicest facilities. They don't have any cats on the screen, but if they did, They'd be adorable.
I noticed earlier, did you move your cat post to appear more professional, Derek? Your
I
cat
did
post is not in the
not.
corner.
So, okay, this is a tangent,
We
but
don't. This is welcome to BTW, where we derail
Okay,
constantly, usually due to
Well,
cats.
this is very
So-
important.
I got a big Kraken flag that I could put behind me. Okay. And when I used like those little command strips, the sticky stuff to put it up,
Yep.
and I had to move the cat tree to put it up, and then my cat proceeded to rip it down like 6 times in a row. And so nope, the flag is just folded up, and I'm probably not going to use it until I move.
And now
but-
your cat is once again displaced without a home. 'Cause you did not put their cat tree back.
yeah, trees around the corner, out of frame.
Poor kitty.
Right, all cat-related sidetracks aside, I apologize for Derek's cat.
No, I interrupted us by observing the very important cat. So, and I have no regrets about
Which
my.
one is it? Adam Larson or Berkeley Catton?
That's true.
Oh, hey, medium cat, little cat. Yeah.
It is the little kid.
Ownership is willing to spend, and ownership is willing to show that they are serious about winning, and whether they actually take the hockey steps to do so, because it's hard. I don't think it's because they are just like, we're satisfied selling out every game and making a bunch of money and being one of the higher revenue teams in the NHL, which a lot of people would do, including the Mariners in this town. And it's like, okay, this team is not the Mariners. So if you have good ownership that is not generally, I don't think they're generally interfering. Maybe there was some with the Montour Stevenson stuff. I'm not sure. But overall, I think ownership has been pretty hands off. And they're like, okay, we're going to throw a bunch of money at you. And they go out and they get all of the best talent that doesn't involve a salary cap, right? The Kraken hockey, the broadcast is just, they're assembling the Avengers. John Forsland, the best American player on the planet, right? Alison Lucan in 2019, I was reading everything I could about the Columbus Blue Jackets, a team I have no connection to or affiliation with, but Alison was writing about them, and I wanted to read what she wrote. And so I thought she was the best analyst in hockey. I thought John Forsland, who I thought for 20 years, almost more than that, is the best announcer in hockey. And then, Edzo, and then like Ian Furness and Everett and Piper, and it's just like on and on and on and on. And then the production team and the graphics and everything. And then it's the same with the analytics team, the same with the media relations team. They got the award-winning media relations, person from Dallas who is like incredible. And it's just like, this is just a first-class organization. And you look at the hockey team and you say, okay, this team isn't winning. This franchise must be a bad franchise. But there's nothing about this franchise that I have any criticism for, except for the product that we see on the ice. And I think overall, it's sports, right? I'm 100 years old, or at least I'm turning 48 this June. And so I've seen teams go through good cycles, bad cycles. Every team that I've ever loved has gone through a bad cycle, and some of the teams that I've loved have been good, but not all of them. And your team being bad is just going to happen. That is just an inevitability, unless you are specifically a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, which, congratulations, you're blessed. I don't know what to say. It's 40 years and you haven't had consecutive losing seasons. Congratulations. Absent that, it's the ownership is the thing that makes the franchise. And I think this ownership is very good. I'm putting my money where my mouth is, because I'm going all in on not just Kraken coverage, but now Sonics coverage. And a big part of that is because of the same ownership group. And I trust them. I trust them that they're going to build this franchise correctly. And I know that's weird saying that after 5 years of unsuccess with the Kraken and the Ron Francis hire and all that stuff. But also, if you look at the expansion draft, it was really hard to build a contender, even if you have perfect information. It's like there are some decisions.
Absolutely.
But Max Domi is not going to transform this. Right? It's not like, there were all these superstars. Like, they could have taken.
Everyone always goes, the team of middle six. Bro, that's who was available at the expansion draft.
Could have taken Vladimir Tarasenko, or we could have taken Vince Dunn.
Right. Oh, they could have taken Carey Price. He played a lot after that, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, 100%. I just got to agree. Kraken are first class, ownership, everything. Like you said, top to bottom. But I also got to add, got the best ice crew in the entire league as well. Both the
Okay.
ice ops guys with the Zambonis and us out there with the shovels, best in the league. Okay, best drip too. We got the best uniforms.
Yeah,
But
loved
completely
it when
agree
you
with you, Zane.
fell.
Yeah.
Which time?
The best organist, the best DJ. Yeah, like I mean, on and on, and the best media meal. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
it's everything. It's just if this team was winning, this would be like the ideal perfect franchise. Honestly,
Can't have it all. Would you rather have a winning team or a subpar or like a top 3 Michelin star chef media meal?
I don't know. Would you rather, like, a legitimate question? If you just like go back in time, you can be either a fan of the Seattle Kraken or you can be a fan of the Vegas Golden Knights. You get a lot more success with the Golden Knights.
No.
Is that
Yeah, but
Kraken
then,
all the way. Kraken all the way.
Kraken.
Kraken all the way.
you know?
yeah, Kraken
Is
don't
it
make
all
me
about
feel
winning?
yucky.
It's not. It's
Right.
not all about winning.
It's not all about winning. Like, a lot of it's about winning, but I think I would rather be a Kraken fan than a Golden Knights fan.
Absolutely.
I
This
feel-
is
I
my
feel
losing
about that.
team.
This is without a doubt the most refreshing episode of Beneath the Waves. Just saying.
We've done a lot.
Yeah. It took 64 episodes for us to finally feel good about ourselves with how this has gone.
100%.
Can I say one little like tinfoil hat thing going to something you said
No.
about the broadcast team?
Mm.
I viewed it as cryptically worded John Forsland tweet when at the end he said it's been a great 5 years. I'm like, has it like not 5 years and counting, just 5 years? Are we losing Forsland?
I don't believe so.
Oh God, I hope not.
This he and Edzo do this every year, and they say alarming things. And Edzo, his last, I don't know if you caught the last broadcast he did a KHN. At the end of the broadcast, he's like, this is my final broadcast, and I would like to thank you, Johnny, and JT, and Piper, and thanks for all the memories. And I'm, and it's like, this sounded so final. And so then people are freaking out. I'm freaking out. And so I text somebody at the team, and I was like, is Edzo leaving? And he's like, no. Like, why do you say that?
Bro
And
is
so
such
then
a
I
troll.
ran to that person at exit interviews, and he's like, oh my God, I listened to it because like I saw your text, and it's like, I don't know why you'd ask that. And I listened to the thing, and he's like, oh, like you have to say this is my last broadcast for the year.
Yeah.
And then I remember like Edzo did this last year as well. He did
Oh my
like something
God.
similar. And then I remember like John, like there was like a scare about, and it's like, oh. And so I told him, like you have to tell these people that when they make statements like this at the end of the season, everyone gets really scared.
Yeah.
And everyone gets
The
really
replies on his tweet
concerned.
were just like, "You're coming back, right? What does this mean? What
And
does
then
this
he
mean?"
like doesn't respond
Definitely
at
one
all.
of those
Yeah,
tweets.
It's the Jennifer Lawrence on Hot Ones. Like, what are you doing? What's happening? What are you doing?
Right.
What are you
Yeah.
doing?
Like literally, I had the same like thought about that meme when I saw that. But so I think it's fine. I think it's fine because this happens every year, and I need to remember that next year. But I'm going to try to use my little tiny bit of power influence to tell them, or inform them. Yeah, you gotta not do that, man. You see, like people just get scared.
Don't mess with my heart.
I
Don't
think
play with my emotions like that.
I wholeheartedly believe they know exactly what they're doing. The way that those two guys troll on these broadcasts, there's no way.
That's true.
There's
That is
especially Eddie. Before we go forward, I also just wanted to say, in terms of takeaways or whatever, it just kind of got me. It sparked up a thought of mine, where I was just like, what if we just dissect it into like 3 different chunks? I don't know why. But the first 28 games, we had 30 points. The second 28 games, we had 33 points. And the last 26 games, because you can't, it doesn't divide into thirds very well. Teacher Matt can, whatever.
Next
And
year,
the last,
it does.
What?
84.
True.
Next
Wait,
year.
does it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, if you just add 2 more to the last
How do you-
26 games, boom, that's 84.
And then the last 26 games, we had 16 points. So like the first 56 games of the year, we were like buzzing, bro. Like we're hot. Like, but the last 26 games, we get 16 points. So I think that kind of speaks to like potential, we're on the verge of something cooking. You know what I'm saying? Like you just gotta get that extra little bit, and then you're there. So those are my thoughts. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Just love your optimism. I just love your optimism. I don't know why, but I don't know why, but I feel like when I was mentioning like what before we went on the Olympic break, I'm like, we're a streaky team. And sure enough, we came back from the Olympic break and it was like all the wheels fell off. We went off the side of a cliff, the vehicle blew up, and it just kept on rolling and rolling and rolling. Like I want to say there's optimism in the sense of like, yeah, this team was a playoff contending team for 2/3 of the season. But the when the moments became the most crucial, the team folded like a cheap chair. So, um, that's just my take on that. Like, I think there's more to do it. Like, there's a lot of positives to look at this season, but at the end of the day, you managed to not make the playoffs in the worst division in NHL history in like God knows how long. And that statement right there alone shows that there is a lot more to this team that needs to be worked on than just a few, fixes here and there. It's a much deeper issue in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Like it would have been nice that we had a full tank of gas to carry us all the way to the end, but something happened at those Olympics that the engine started sputtering and we just wrecked out. It was not fun. And there was a lot of that talk. That was kind of a big central focus of a lot of the exit interviews that we'll get into a little bit later as well.
I mean, I think it was part of it was the goaltending, and it's like how can we really expect Philip Grubauer to be playing like the best goalie in the NHL, which he was for stretches when he had not been good the previous 4 seasons? Is like what is the true who's the true Grubauer, and what's more likely to be the version that we see after the Olympic break? And then I mean, I think the Kraken, I don't know how they finished the season, but they were top 2 in save percentage for the whole season, and they still couldn't generate enough offense to get a stranglehold on the division. And they go to the Olympic break with what I think 3 points into a playoff spot, and that's it. And they had been flying, I think, really close to the sun by relying on elite goaltending to save them, and then also a lack of bad luck, like a bad lack of like weird tips, and went off the skate, and like if you just look at those stretches where the Kraken were winning, there just weren't that many of those. And then the bounces stopped going their way, and it's started to look a lot more like normal hockey as opposed to like, hey, you know what? We looked at this and we haven't had a bad bounce in like 4 games. That's kind of weird, right? And then they had like several stretches of that. And it's like, this is great, but it just seemed like they were really the beneficiary of good luck by the absence of bad luck.
I agree with that. I also just wanted to say, also from your Locked On that I watched, you were talking about how we just have like the most lovable pair of goalies, and I completely agree. I do our like goalie updates each week or whatever, and it's just like I love following both of them along so much, and I have been the biggest Philly Grewstake supporter throughout his entire tenure here, and this year, like especially with what he said about like you know proving people wrong. It was kind of like to me it was almost kind of like the it's definitely different, but kind of like the Geno moment, like after he replaced Russ and then he's like, they wrote me off type thing. It's not to that level, but like I love to see that from Grubauer, and yeah, both the goalies are just so amazing.
I just want to be effusive about both Joey and Philip. I'm not saying anything unique here. I really like that. I think they're just like the nicest guys, and I'm really. I hope that. I mean, I don't know if Philip Grubauer will be on this team next year. Probably will be, but I hope that if he is, or even if he's somewhere else, that he keeps this thing going, because he's one of my favorite players of all time. I've always really, really liked him. I liked him in Washington. I liked him in Colorado. I like him here. And now obviously Joey's signed for 5 more years after this. So he'll be hopefully on the team for a while unless they trade him, which I
Awesome.
don't
Well,
think they will do.
no. Well, we didn't get to see Joey or Grew this week in the games due to injuries. But Derek, what's our quick rundown on the goalies that we did have?
Yeah. So we had Nicky Coco. He played against the Vegas Golden Knights. He had 3.2 expected goals against and allowed four. He stopped 22 of 26 shots with an 846 save percentage. And this is kind of just one where if you only look at shots or save percentage, you're just going to be like, oh, what an atrocious game. But these last two games, I know we were talking with Zaiem earlier about how we don't think, and I agree with Zaiem, that the Kraken did not mail it in. These last two games, in terms of expected goals against, both of them were like 3 or 4 to like 1 or 1.5. So and I like that because we did not need to mess with any of these like 1 or 2 points away people in the tankathon tanking rankings. So I'm glad. But yeah, so Coco, another solid game for sure. And then Osman, he played against Colorado. He had 2.6 expected goals against. He allowed two. He stopped 33 of 35 shots with a 943 save percentage against Colorado. Last game of the year. Let's go. So both of these guys, not our typical guys. But it kind of speaks to some potential depth in our goaltending situation going forward. With both of these prospects, that's awesome to see.
From a Firebirds perspective, like Coco has been lights out in Coachella this year. So the fact that he's been given the opportunity to play some NHL games here and there has been great to see. Like he's still got a lot to develop. He's still very young, so he's going to get some real some good chances this in the playoffs when the Firebirds head out this week. And then Victor Osman, I don't know about you guys, but like he had a fantastic game against the Avalanche. Stood on his head the entire game. That game could have easily been like 6 or 7-0, but he was fantastic. So another young goaltender that is still coming up. He's older than Coco, I believe. But Derek, you said it perfectly. The depth of this team when it comes to goaltending is quite impressive, especially when you look at the goaltender that's from Russia that I don't believe is over here yet, but that's like another goaltender to look. Yeah, to keep an eye on.
Or whatever.
Yeah,
I can't remember his
he's been
last name.
quite good. So that's another guy to keep an eye on as well.
And yeah, I brought it up last week when we talked last week or the week before talking about Grew, and Zaim kind of saying there too that he there could be a world where he's not on this team next season. He had a really good season, so maybe we can have some sort of leverage where we can get something for him. And if that's the case, I am feeling fairly confident with like Coco playing backup role next year, if that's kind of thing. I'm really glad that he got not only playing time, but he got starting playing time. Not like last season where he just kind of got shoved off the bench midway through the game and just had to kind of go into a losing situation. You got to play the full experience. Alex, you mentioned Coachella. We did have some roster moves real quick here at the end of the season. OFM, Oscar Fisker-Molgaard, Jacob Melanson, Nicky Coco, Victor Osman, and Yanni Newman all were reassigned back down to Coachella Valley ahead of the playoffs. And then two quick mentions on milestones to end the season. Matty Beniers and Adam Larson get the Iron Men status for this season, playing in all 82 games. I still think it's crazy that Adam Larson has only missed one game in his entire time here. And Cale Fleury played in his 100th career NHL game in the game against Colorado. So nice milestone for him there as well. Now it's time. We got some snow where I live here. They got like a foot of snow overnight a couple days ago. So it took a little extra digging to go out into my backyard and unearth the time capsule. But I have it. And we are going to look at our time capsule predictions from the preseason. And Zaim is going to let us know if we are nutcases or if they are actually logical guesses. So here we go. We had 6 categories. The first one was first goal. I said Mason Marchment.
I said Brendan Montour.
Yanni Newman.
Yanni Newman. So we kind of were all over the board there. I picked the new guy. Derek picked the young guy. It ended up being for the second year in a row, Vince Dunn. So when we do this next year, you got to think that Vince Dunn is a pretty good chance at locking down if he scores again, because it's been 2 seasons in a row.
Also scored the first ever goal at Climate Pledge. Vince Dunn did.
Well, I know what I'm putting money on next season,
yeah,
provided he's on the team. Our next category was most goals, and we were hopeful that we would have a lot of goals this season. Not so much the case. I went with Shane Wright, who ended up with 12 goals.
I went with Canner, who ended up with 20 in an injury-riddled season.
Yeah, I went with Ellie Tolvanen, who had 12 goals.
12 goals. The top, I'm putting an asterisk by this one because the top goal scorer was Bobby McMahon with 29, but I'm ruling that out for this because he was not a Kraken the whole time. Jordan Eberle with 26 was our highest, which, Zane, we've talked about this a lot. Like, celebrating that our top goal scorer has 26 goals is pretty minuscule of a number when you look at some of these other squads.
I don't think he finished in the top 100 in NHL scoring. Maybe he finished just inside. I think he finished like 101, 102, somewhere in there. So your leading scorer is not even. Yeah, I was talking about goals and not points, but the points the same. It's just the most prolific scorers on the Kraken are it's not the very prolific players across the league.
Yeah. We did predict points, however. Most points, I said, after Derek took my pick of Shane Wright, I pivoted and said Chandler Stevenson, who ended up having 49 points. So decent pivot there. I was really banking on those empty calorie points, the secondary assists and all that. Alex, what was yours?
I went with Canner again. Just kind of went along with the goal scoring threat. I thought Canner was going to score 40 goals, so I was like, okay, if he's going to score 40, probably going to difference out. Well, he ended up getting 40 points, so not too bad of a year.
Yeah, you very confidently and very passionately said that he was going to put up 87 points this year.
Hey, I did not suspect him getting injured.
Unfortunate there. Derek, who did you have?
Oh, just a quick note. I went on Money Puck. Jordan Eberle looks like there's a bunch of ties with different goal numbers, but he's listed at 67th. So I don't know. But I went with Shane Wright, as you alluded to, and he had 27 points. Ooh, yippee.
Yeah, and our winner, Jordan
Yikers.
Eberle with 55 points, 55
Hooray.
big ones. Yeah, just get your saddest party blower out to see or to make that sound. Okay, this is the one that got very contentious towards the end, or very heated, very on the edge of our seats, was our season point total. I said 88. I thought we'd improve on last season. Alex, who was the defending champion in this category from last season, what'd you say?
I said 81.
81. And Derek, you were very excited.
I
And
was
you
so
said what?
excited that I didn't even make a prediction. I said I'll let you guys know
Hold
at the
on.
end of the year.
Okay, well, pause. Zaim, what do you think Derek's prediction was, being super optimistic as he is, coming off the 76 points of last season?
I think he's put them in the playoffs, like 90, 98 points. Like
Very close.
It was 96. 96.
oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And as
That
we
would have
all
been
know,
so beautiful to see.
it would have
Seattle
been.
Kraken 96
That would
points.
have been nice.
I wanted you to be right, but
First in the Pacific by a
Oh
landslide.
yeah, that'd be a lot.
yeah, as we established, we have landed at 79. So not great, but still better than last season. This one is still up in the air because we said free agent stay or go, who will be on the team at the end of the season, and we put the caveat of July 1st. The first one with Jordan Eberle, we all said no, that he would not be on the team. We thought he was going to get trade deadline sense. We were all wrong there. Alex, where did we all fall on Jaden Schwartz?
So for Schwartz, Matt, you said he would remain on the team. I said he would not. And Derek also concluded that he believed that Schwartz would be on this team as well.
So you have the chance now because we still have 2.5 months until this actually happens. Do you want to stay with your pick or do you want to change your pick? And Zaim, where are you going to fall on Jaden Schwartz?
Well, I don't want to. I don't want to influence the jury here by giving my take.
Okay,
Here, so
you can go last. That's fine. I'm going to change mine and say that he is not going to be on the team.
Oh, I'm staying firm with he's packing his bags.
I'm also changing because I can't say, okay, but I might kind of know something. I don't know, but I probably don't. I don't know, but I'm going to switch to no.
Yeah, I might also kind of know something. Maybe it's the same something. I don't know. We'll see. But
Oh.
my sense is he wants to go elsewhere, and I think also there's been some talk. Adam Larson made a comment about some of the older players need to. I forget exactly what the quote was, but he was calling out some of the older players for maybe not being quite all what they need to be in terms of leadership. And I don't. And this isn't me like being cagey and like, oh, I don't know what I know. But in this case, I don't know if he's calling out Jaden Schwartz in this one. But just looking at this, I think Jaden Schwartz, he's been part of the expansion core, and he is a middle six forward. And I don't think he likes losing, and I think he just wants to move on and go someplace else. And also, just where the franchise is at, I don't really think it makes sense to bring him back. I would have also guessed no on Jordan Eberle. I was very surprised when they made that deal. And I understand because he's your leading scorer, but also it just like what's the plan here? And then we didn't know they were going to let go of Rand Francis. So retroactively, I will also take the L by being like Jordan Eberle, no. And so I'm also saying Jaden Schwartz, no.
Yeah, our Jordan Eberle thing was we were thinking like trade deadline, he'd go to Edmonton, back to Edmonton or something to finally try to chase a cup on his way out. But 2 more years of Ebs on the team. So
Thank God,
we'll
because we
see.
all have Jordan Eberle Abyss jerseys.
Yeah. So we don't want those to be collector's items already. This one was a sweep for all of us and it's still up in the air. Jamie Alexiak, the big rig, we all said he will not be on this team. Is anyone changing that?
No.
Locking
No,
that
head
in.
shakes all around. And Zaem, you think he's gone?
I'm with you. I'm sticking with you guys in this one. I don't think he's on the roster next year.
Small
Okay.
rig.
Small rig. Jacob Melanson is going to come and just be our heavyweight that we need on this team. This one, Mason Marchment, I said no.
Mason Marchment, I also said no.
And Derek, you said
I said I said yes.
you said yes. You thought he was going to be this
Dude,
all-star coming in
yes.
from Dallas, and
Yes, I thought he was going to be a massive tool for our offensive presence and just like be in the net front, be getting deflection goals every game. Like I thought he was gonna be the dude, man.
Well, it turned out you were correct on the whole massive tool thing, though.
I was teeing up for that, but I knew that Alex wanted it, so I gave it to him.
We both thought about it. I was like, no, I'm gonna get it and say it.
Zaem, one sentence thought on Mason Marchment and his time with the Kraken.
Don't miss him.
Oh, that's good. All right.
I love it.
One in here, I'll get out of the way. Mitchell Stevens, we all just kind of said indifferent because he's a Firebirds guy, so we weren't too right up on him.
Get him out of here.
One that we were unanimously yes on was Ellie Tolvanen. Is anyone wanting to change their position on Ellie Tolvanen?
I will. I'm willing to change mine to he won't be here.
I'm going to stick yes.
I'm gonna stick yes as well.
Zayn, where do you fall on Tolvi? No. Okay.
I'm going to say no. I mean, he was a healthy scratch towards the end of the year, and his advanced numbers aren't good. And who knows what the analytics team is going to be. But if I had to guess, I'd say he's probably gone. Not like super confident there, but we're just guessing here. And I'd say over 50% he's playing somewhere else.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I like Chandler Stevenson's still going to be here, and I remember looking at some of the line combinations and their like expected goals for percentage. And to Zame's point, Tolvanen was on a couple of those lines that were like near rock bottom on the Kraken. Stevenson also is, but that's for a different day.
But you also have to look at the fact that like if this team wants change, you can't have a bunch of players from the previous seasons be slotted into the sections of this roster. Now, Tolvanen has been good here and there, but you're probably looking at him wanting an increase in salary. So that's going to be an additional cap, and he's probably a third line guy. But you have guys that are going to be playing, that you're going to want on this team that could slot into that spot. And I just think that Yeah, Tolvanen was a waiver pickup. So at the end of the day, he did a
That's
great
true,
job
yeah.
while he was here. You're not losing anything if he walks.
Counterpoint. Tolden has a wicked shot. He's low-key a sniper. He had a down year, okay? So he's going to be cheap, okay? And it's because we know that potential's there to score. We know he's a little bit of a rocky road type guy, even with Nashville. That's why he was on the waiver wire or whatever. So, hey, I'm willing to pay him a little bit, give him another shot.
Salary cap's going up. He's not taking a discount.
Okay, well, we'll just have to wait and see what comes our way July 1st. And we have one new piece to add into this, the addition to the team of Bobby McMahon, who none of us could have seen coming in that last week of August or whenever it was that we did this. Do you think Bobby McMahon is a Seattle Kraken next season? Derek is emphatically shaking his head no.
Absolutely not. What did he say that he wants to be on like a winning team or
Let's be on a
something? Like,
winning team.
Yeah.
brother, there's literally no less coded way of saying I'm leaving. There's literally no less coded way of saying that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you watch his exit interview really carefully, his eyes are blinking. Get me out of here.
Morse code.
Yeah, he's gone. I love Bobby McMahon. He was fantastic during his time as a Kraken. Uh, but he's gonna go secure a bag somewhere else, even if we offer 8 million a year.
Yeah, he had all the nicest things to say, which sounds like a breakup was about to happen. He's like, it's not you, it's me. I really loved our time together. These people are wanting me to stay, but I need to spread my wings and fly. So I think he's gonna go, yeah, secure that bag elsewhere.
Like, we can't stay together after high school. I'm going to college. I'm so sorry. It's just not the right time in my life for you right now.
He's gonna go back to his girlfriend that lives in Canada that no one's heard about and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Bobby McMahon, welcome to Edmonton.
We'll see what happens. But yeah, universally, all no's across the board.
Probably no, although I do think that there is some element of he is getting opportunity that he has not gotten in Toronto, and that might matter to him, especially if the Kraken look if they don't sign him to a long-term deal. Like, I'm kind of okay with giving him whatever, because this team is not going to be near the cap, where at the point where the salary cap is going to be a significant roster constraint over the next couple of years as they go into what we hope is going to be some sort of rebuild or transformation to get this roster to be a consistent playoff contender. And if they give him like a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal and not an 8-year deal, and it's like a little bit of an overpay, he might take that. And I think I would be okay with that. Now, the counterpoint of that is, I don't know if you've looked at the free agent class this summer. It's awful. And Bobby McMahon is going to be one of the very, 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 very top free agents in a league that has a bunch of teams with a bunch of cap room. So now, as I say this out loud, I've just now talked myself firmly a no. No, I'm with all of you. He's gone.
He's also 30 this year, so like he's not taking that 3-year deal. He's taking that 7-year deal and
No, you're
sailing
right.
off into the sun.
No, sorry, Bobby. We loved you. You scored 8 million goals while you're in Seattle, and we'll think of you fondly for your 26 games you played here or whatever it was.
It was nice. It was nice.
All right, and our last category was a big whiff from all of us. It is the bold take for the season. So we all made a prediction of how things would go. Derek, yours is kind of the freshest. So why don't you say what your bold prediction was that it did not happen?
I mean, so I remember when I made the 96-point prediction, it's because like multiple, I think Calgary and another team had 96, and like one of them didn't make the playoffs. So I was like, so I think we'll be like fringe playoffs was my take. And then my bold take was that we were making the playoffs. I mean, so I'm obviously I got cooked there by a lot. That's just kind of always gonna be like when I'm gearing up for the season, bro. I'm just like thinking about working those games at Climate Pledge against the Avs and the Stars, and it's just the most playoff hockey, especially in Seattle, especially for the Kraken, was just like the most addicting experience ever. And I agree with Zaiem that we like you ought to like evaluate whether or not you're fine with being a fan of a team that is losing, or you might just end up being miserable if you're a sports fan. But once we hit those playoffs, it's like you're just trying to get back. You're just trying to feel that again because I just can't with any other team that's in the playoffs. Like, I just got to be the Kraken, unfortunately. So hopefully we get back next year or the year after, please.
Alex, what was your bold prediction?
Well, last year I said Dan Biles was going to win the Jack Adams Award. That was horrible. So I said, hey, let's double down. I said Lane Lambert's going to win the Jack Adams. I'm not. I don't think I'm going to go for a three-peat on this.
Yeah. So that one. What's your? Okay. Well, I should have pitched this afterwards. Zayn, what were your reactions in hindsight to what past us said to Derek making the playoffs? What do you think of that call back in late September?
I'm trying to think of what how I felt about this team, and I remember talking to people like, "How do you feel about this team?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm like a hybrid of Alex and Derek here." It's like, I think Lane Lambert, he's a really good coach, and I think he's going to surprise some people, and he might be in the running for the Jack Adams, and I think this team might be a playoff team.
Hell
And I
yeah.
think they're, and then they come out and then they start out, and I'm like, oh, I am so smart. I am
Yup.
so smart. Look, I saw all
That's
this
how
coming.
I felt.
And I'm like, oh, we're gonna be rocking a climate pledge this April. We're back to the playoffs, baby.
Yes, sir.
And then we were not, in fact, in the playoffs, baby.
Yeah, we're packing our bags and moving out.
Yeah,
Telling you, man, it's those last 26 games.
It literally was.
I know.
My bold prediction. I feel like I'm constantly getting cheated out of these. Last season, my bold prediction would be that Broken Bones Andre Burakovsky would play in 80 of 82 games, and he played in 79 because Bilesma scratched him for like 3 games because he wasn't performing. So I got cheated there. My bold take this year was that we would have 3 hat tricks happen, and
Oh,
two
man.
of those were taken away.
Oh man. That's actually so
So-
crazy.
I can't wait for whatever I come up with next
Oh my-
season. But
That was the most cursed way to not have your
Yeah.
prediction
Right?
come true.
I
We
was
would do,
like,
Wow.
Jared McCann got this. We're 1/3 of the way done. Oh, shoot. They took it away. We still got time. Jordan Eberle, here we go. We got this hat trick. Nope. We're hat tricked again. We're taking that away. And then we ran out of games. Instead, we got 3 hat tricks scored against the Torrent. That's what ended up happening. That was the flip side of that coin. There's only been 2. But one of them was a hat trick plus in this last game. So that's sad. But yeah, Rug very aggressively pulled out from under me on my bold prediction this year.
I think you still get credit for 2. I mean, Matty Beniers has it out for you and taken away because he was the reason both hat tricks got taken away, right? So it's specifically Matty who has an issue with you, and maybe you should hash that with him. Drop the gloves,
Yeah, like next time you have a press availability, you can be like, hey, there's this dude in Central Canada who's really mad at you because you ruined his podcast prediction that 4 people listened to.
Maddie v. Maddie showdown.
Yeah.
Real quick, Maddie thing. Just the other day, I'm going up the stairs to KCI for exit interviews, and I see this person. There's 2 rows of stairs, and I'm kind of running late, and so I'm moving fast, and I see out of the corner of my eye this blur, and it's like it looked like unnatural, like CGI or like some like VFX something. Like this person was moving in an unnaturally fast way, like it was like sped up, like a sped up a thing. I'm like, what kind of human and it's like, oh, it's Matty Beniers. It's a professional athlete. Okay, that makes sense. But like he was just like bounding up. Like it's like, oh man, I forget. Professional athletes are aliens and they're not normal people and they don't move like normal people. And Matty Beniers is not considered like the greatest athlete in the NHL. And it was just like just one of those things that's like, oh yeah, all these people are just like insanely athletic.
100%.
Yeah, he skips 5 stairs at a time, and I make grunting sounds when I get out of this chair at the end of the podcast.
Yeah. He was just like, poop, poop, poop. I was like, what? Okay. Yeah.
No,
That's my Matty Beniers story.
That is such a great point. I absolutely love like the guys that are either fringe league or make the league and are like barely contributors or whatever, because it really is a reminder that even these like freak of nature athletes, they're unable to like make their mark in this league because of how talented like the high end it like it's unreal. It's absolutely unreal.
Like
I
John
think that's a
Hayden could
great
beat the
point.
tar out of any single one of us.
Yep. And then you
Yep.
got everyone
Oh,
going,
yeah.
they're not trying hard
They're not
enough.
trying hard
They're
enough,
not
being like
going out. It's like,
like
bro,
if
come
Derek
on.
put on a set of skates, which he has, and skated past John Hayden, which he has, John Hayden would probably make him cry, which he probably has.
Brandon Tanev is the only one who's ever said anything to me, and it was very unpleasant. And he did make me cry. So thanks for aggravating that, Alex. I appreciate it.
What did Brandon Tanev say to you?
Seriously, his soul and said, "I've seen shit."
Basically, I was coming up the boards and I had to stop for Adam Larson getting his blade replaced, but I thought he was just stretching. And something we do is like like collect the snow and then shovel around. So I was trying to collect the snow to shovel around him because I'd said excuse me a couple times. And I think from the bench point of view, it looked like I was like hitting Larson in
Hacking
the
his
foot.
ankles?
Yeah, basically hacking him with the shovel. And then I just hear this like array of just swear words just being hurled at me. And I was just freaking. And then the person behind me is like, yeah, Tanev was like chewing you. I was like, oh my god. So then we all got talked to like by our like coach or whatever, and they were like, hey, like try not to mess with any of these guys out there. They're all kind of like cavemen. Like they're just gonna freak out at anything that gets near them because they're in like a heightened state of like. I'm like, okay.
But then you balance it out with this season when like Capo Caco helped you pick up a Zin can or whatever. So
Yeah, there's an away player that helped me pick up a Zin can that someone threw during one of those hat tricks. They got pulled back. And then Capo Caco picked up a hat for me. That was sick.
Aw.
all right. Before we close out these predictions, and we'll come back around when free agency time comes. Does anyone have a bold off-season prediction between now and opening night?
I have two.
Oh, what do you got,
So
Alex?
there's gonna be three players that I'm going to propose that will not be Seattle Kraken next year. I think
You were coming on mine again. Okay, go.
Shane Wright, Jared McCann, or Vince Dunn, one of the three will be traded. Maybe two of them.
That was my exact take.
And then I think we're gonna offer sheet Jason Robertson.
No way.
Offer
Oh.
sheet Jason Robertson. Okay, well, mine was going to be two of the three, Jared McCann, Vince Dunn, or Philip Grubauer will not be here to start next season. So to not have the same kind of thing as you, I'm going to say that we will acquire 4 new free agents at free agency, and we're going to be very sad about all of them.
Interesting. I mean, I guess my bold prediction, which I didn't think was bold, is that Canner and Vince Dunn are staying. Like, okay. And then I guess of those three that you guys have brought up, I guess maybe Wright I could see being moved, just because it seems with the time on ice being like 12-13 or whatever, and then the performance and the how high he was picked, all of that combining, it just feels like one of those situations, like similar almost to what Capo Caco and the Rangers had when they shipped him over to us. So I could see us doing that where it's like, hey kid, go find a better fit somewhere and get us some capital in return. So I could see that for sure. I think Jared McCann and Vince Dunn are staying. I hope so. Those are my core guys, bro. Yeah.
Well, I guess it's not that bold to say that Canner and Dunn are not going to be on the team. So I'm gonna go one more, and this is partially what I would like to see, but also I think it's what they should do. I'm gonna say they gotta buy out Chandler Stevenson. They buy out his contract. It's a very buyoutable contract, by the way. I don't know if you looked at the buyout contract. I look at it like every 6 weeks.
Every
Yep,
day.
they can still do it.
I thought you were going to say way more frequently than 6 weeks.
Every night before you go to bed.
It's my wallpaper, guys.
I brush my teeth, and I do my skincare routine. I look at the Chandler Stevenson buyout thing, and like, oh no, they can still do it. This is like zero manageable, and I go to bed.
Wait, what is it? You've looked at it. You said what does it look like?
It's just like it's look at it. It's
like a few mil per year or something.
Like 2.5
it's a
million.
Yeah.
it's a favorited tab.
Yeah, it is just like you save so much money on a buyout there, and then you don't have to, use the roster spot and the playing time, and then also you free up cap space, and the cap is going up, and the amount that you have to carry on dead cap is not very much, relatively. And so I'm trying to pull it up here. Actually, it's been about 6 weeks, so it's getting a little rusty. But you save 2.3 million next year if you buy them out. And then for the next 4 years, you save 4.3 million. And then you have a 2 million caps for 5 years starting in 2031. That goes for 5 years. It's like, that's nothing, right? And you just buy them out. And then you get all this short-term cap room. And then the only time that cap room starts to become an issue is in 2031. And it's going to be it's less than 2 million, it's a little under 2 million. And now you can totally absorb that, especially because it's coming for 5 years. So you can plan for it very easily. It is very easy to get rid of Chandler Stevenson without disrupting your roster. Or
make this guy the president of hockey operations for the Seattle Kraken. I'm casting a vote for Zaiem to be the president of hockey operations.
It's no Joe Veleno buyout, but I'll take it, I guess.
Matt, is Zaiem now your arch nemesis for advocating that we get rid of your favorite player, Chandler Stevenson?
Well, it's not my favorite player. He's just the player who I gave a nickname to that everybody hates and that I love spreading with the world. Zaiem, as an unbiased third party in this conversation, how do you feel about the nickname Channy Steves?
I want to be careful about what I say here. It is a nickname. It is descriptive.
Mm-hmm.
Know who you're talking about. So it has utility, it has function, which is very important with a lot of things.
Great.
I'd say aesthetically, there's probably some room for improvement.
Mm-hmm. It's no Monty Mania. I'll say that. It's no Monty Mania.
Monty Mania is good. I would say as a good. I would probably treat that as like a first draft as a nickname goes.
Okay.
I think it's a good place to start, but I'm not sure if it's quite ready to be called up to the NHL.
It's not going to be featured in a Locked On Kraken or a Davy Jones article anytime soon.
So put otherwise,
it's not.
Put otherwise, Zaiem, the nickname seems to be kind of fitting for Chandler Stevenson, right? It shouldn't be in the NHL. You're saying?
Oh, shit.
It's like you're like, man, I see that there's something there, but man, there's a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah.
Actually, okay. Now I'm on board. I'm fully on board.
It perfectly describes him.
A perfect nickname.
Channy Steves isn't going to end up on a Starbucks cup anytime soon, so I'll still take that as
you have to approach him and be like, "Yo, Channy Steves," and see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Maybe he returns home to Saskatoon this summer, and I can go up and ask him face to face.
Oh god, no.
He seems like a super nice guy. I mean, he seems like easygoing, and like the way he adopted Berkeley Catton, and then like, aesthetically, even though I know like I don't like his game overall, but I do enjoy watching him play. Like aesthetically, he's just
honestly same.
He's a good skater, and he plays in a way that is just like very pleasing to the eye. And so even though I'm like, well, he's got an expected goal share of like 39% or whatever, at least it's like an aesthetically pleasing 39%. It could be a lot worse than a player who's just like laboring out there and it's like not doing anything. And it's like, well, we're not getting anything out of this player. So there's a lot I like about Chandler Stevenson, but overall, like buy him out. Just buy him out. And that's my bold take, right?
No, the contract doesn't match the player.
Right. Exactly. If he was making 2.3 million over the next, and they signed him to a 3 or 4 year deal, I would have been like, yeah, this is great. Wow, what a good deal. But 6.25 at 7.
You're going to make so many people happy with that bold prediction that you just made. So
hopefully it's right. It feels like wishful thinking, but
all right. Alex, let's start closing some things out here. What does the week ahead look like for us in the Seattle hockey world?
Well, there's no more Kraken hockey, baby. Thank God for that, in some way. Well, the playoffs are underway. Unfortunately, we will not see the Seattle Kraken play for Lord Stanley this year, but we will be able to watch the lottery draft that will take place on May 5th, and we may have a chance. We may have a shot at one Gavin McKenna. That might be a possibility, so you never know. And then we're going to fast forward a little bit further. The draft is on June 26th and 27th. So we will decide and see what our fate is at that point. If we're going to draft another center, we're going to go for a defenseman, Seattle Kraken, so probably a center. And then the Torrent have 2 games this week. They play Wednesday versus the Frost, and then Saturday against the Victoire. So yeah, exciting times ahead. Let's hope the Torrent can put a win in the book in these 2 games, because we need a win to secure that first overall pick. But yeah, what is everybody's thoughts on moving ahead in the coming weeks for the Kraken and for the Torrent this week?
Torrent better win out. Hopefully there's some. I haven't really super reviewed the top of the standings because I'm always looking at the bottom, but hopefully there's some level of like comfort with these top end teams where they don't need to go all out in their last couple regular season games here, and they allow the Torrent to. Is that not the reality? Same? Is it really contentious still?
Well, Montreal and Boston are fighting for the top spot.
There we go.
Minnesota's like very comfortable where they are. So
Okay,
I
okay.
remember, Derek,
Hopefully 1-1 then.
top seed gets to pick their opponent, so they're gonna wanna get those.
Absolutely,
those
yeah.
So yeah, I of course hope that we get 6 gold plan points coming out here. I do think we're going to be in a pretty lucky position with continuing Ottawa, Toronto, and New York being in this real like neck and neckish battle for the 4th spot. That's going to delay their gold plan activation hopefully a little bit. So the one other thing is Vancouver has the same end of season schedule as we do. They are also playing Minnesota and Montreal. So lots can happen. We need to show up, and we need Vancouver to not show up. So fingers crossed. Alex, what are things on the Coachella front?
Well, on the Coachella front, the Firebirds will play the Bakersfield Condors in the first round of the Pacific Division in a 3-game round. So we got some playoff hockey when it comes to Seattle franchise as a whole. So yeah, it's going to be it's exciting. I definitely think the Firebirds can go far. But the Pacific Division has been so tight this season that really anything can happen. Like I wouldn't be shocked if they don't make it past the first round, but I wouldn't be shocked if they go like significantly far this season.
All right. And that's going to do it for this episode this week. Before we started, we're going to keep this one short. Believe it or not, we cut a segment from this episode and it's still going to be an hour and 40 minutes long or something like that. So, I mean, if you've been digging the long content the last couple weeks, the 90-minute pluses, you're eating good right now. But with that being said, even though the Kraken season is over, the BTW season is not. We will have a bonus episode on the feeds later this week, breaking down all the things that were said at the exit interviews, a little more in depth than we talked about here. You want to stay in tune with us in the coming weeks as we look back on the past season, we prepare for the draft, and we keep you updated on any Kraken news that comes our way. Huge, big time shout out to Zaiem for hanging out with us on this Sunday evening and sharing all of the insight that is just so much more valuable and insightful than what we bring from our couches and basements. And Zaiem, if people wanted to find more of your work and things about you, where might they do that on the internet?
You can find me at Davy Jones LR on all social media platforms or at DavyJonesLockerRoom.com, where we do print coverage of the Seattle Torrent and the Seattle Kraken. And I was about to go into like my outro and if you're also interested, be sure to tune in Locked On Kraken because that's how I end every show. So, but we're not going to do that because this is your show, which by the way is great. And I wanted to say again that I listen to it every week, and it's just been awesome. I had like such a great time. And I think that y'all have been a really wonderful addition to the Seattle Kraken media landscape. And I just, I've followed y'all on Twitter for years now. And this is just, I'm really humbled and grateful and thankful that you had me on. And I enjoyed this immensely.
Well, I'll speak for all of us that you have been fantastic to have on. And I'm going to preemptively offer you a time capsule return invite if you want to get in on the time capsule guessing. We do Kraken Thanksgiving every year, and we do Cracktivus, which you can vent all of your Kraken-based frustrations. So standing invite for any of those that you want to join us on. Thanks again for hanging out with us tonight. It has been awesome, and we love all the work you do over there at Davy Jones Locker Room. Derek, if people want to find out more BTW online, where might they do that?
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. Just wanted to say as well, yeah, thanks to Zaiem. Absolute blast having you on tonight. But first, go on over to bit.ly/BTW store. You can find all of the merch that we've posted over there. There's a lot of stuff. You never know who's going to be going away, so go scoop it up now while they're still on the team. The Philip Grubauer design is up and kicking. And also go over and check out Heather's articles. The link will be in the show notes as usual, and follow at Heather Nicole with no E and at the Hockey News W to see more of her work. And keep your eyes on your podcast feed to see when she drops more PWHL episodes. Please also drop a follow and a 5-star review on the podcast app of your choice, and follow us on all socials. It helps us out a whole lot if you could take a second to like or comment on those videos. And I just wanted to say, Zaiem, he dropped some logic bombs and some optimism. And it's sad he is not here to stay. But if you want to keep up with us other three bums, go follow us at BTW SEA. All right. Thank you so much. That is it. We will see you next week. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.
We going beneath the waves. Going.